Hello everyone, welcome to another lesson. In this lesson, we'll be looking at the bitwise operators in JavaScript. So basically, do not forget that from the last number lesson, we have been talking about number references in JavaScript, where we have been able to, looked at some of the number properties that we have in JavaScript, especially when you are dealing with the number objects in JavaScript when you are working with numbers. So we've been able to look at the max save integer, the main save integer. We've been able to look at other things like infinity, positive infinity, negative infinity, and also a compilation of number references in JavaScript. So in this particular lesson, we'll be taking a look at something is related to number, the bitwise operations. So bitwise operators allow JavaScript to work with bits, zeros and ones. So do not forget that in programming, computer does not understand the human readable language that we speak, like English, Japanese, Chinese, or any other form of languages. The only thing that computer understands is zeros and one, and that is why we have things like our compilers and interpreters that can take our own human language and convert it into machine readable and understandable formats in forms of zeros and one. So computers store numbers in binary. So all these things that we do with computers, all the operations that we perform, all the things like calculation or programs or things that we write, computer has a computer only understand them in binary, which means that there are some abstraction that have been put into place that allows each of these things that we do with computers to be translated into zeros and ones. So computers store numbers in binary, and bitwise operators let us manipulate those individual bits. So think of bits as switches. When you have a light bulb in your house, it is always connected to a switch, and that switch does just two things. It's either it puts it on or it puts it off. So that is the interpretation of zeros and ones that we're talking about here with the bitwise operator. So just think of binary and bitwise operator as a way to manipulate those individual bits. So it's either it is zero, which is off, or one, which is on. You won't use bitwise operators every day in normal JavaScript. So as a developer, probably maybe most of your time you work on webs app, or you work on websites, or you are not even a type that goes into machine related development. This is not something that you need, every now and then or in every day as a JavaScript developer, but it's just important to know about these things, that they exist in the language, but they are important in performance critical tasks. So nevertheless, even if you are a type that does not need it every day in normal JavaScript as a developer, there are some people that still make use of it in their own job based on the kind of what they do with the language itself. So when you are to do something like graphics, compression, and low level operations that involves working in binaries, that is when all these things become necessary and important. So knowing the basics is very useful. And in this particular video, so I'm just going to explain three core operators. I'm going to explain AND, OR, and XOR not in this particular lesson. So, like I've said, that the primary reason why this bitwise operators matter is because of when you are working with things like maybe files, permission, that when you're working with something like permission and access control, maybe files, or with compression algorithm, when you are doing something like maybe you are building a graphics app or games or animation, network protocol, and also things like fastmat operator. That is when you need some of these things. And the reason why is because bitwise operator let us control numbers at binary level. So like it has been said earlier that computer only understand numbers in binary, which is zeros and ones. So it allows us to control number at that binary level when you have maybe a project or something that you are working with that requires that. So you won't use them daily like it has been said. So let me just quickly show us a how so that we'll know sorry, I'll start with AND so that you have an idea of how these binaries are combined. So when a bitwise AND is performed on a pair of bits, it returns one if both bits are one. So when you are trying to combine binaries, AND returns one if both bits are one, which means that when you try to combine one and one, you will get one as a result. But when you try to convert something that is not one with one, you definitely get the opposite. So take a look at this table. When you combine 0 and 0, you get 0. When you combine 0 and 1, you get 0. When you combine 1 and 0, you get 0. When you combine 1 and 1, you get 1. So this is just a mistake. Sorry about it. So the correct answer here is 1, not 0, because it is stated here that when a bitwise AND is performed on a pair of bits, it will return 1 if both bits are 1. That is for AND. Then take a look at another one. This is OR. So when a bitwise OR is performed on a pair of bits, it returns 1 if one of the bits is 1, which means that when you work with a binary that involves two numbers and one of the numbers in that binary is 1, using the bitwise OR operator, you get 1 as a result. So look at this first one, 0 and 0, you get 0. 0 and 1, you get 1. 1 and 0, you get 1. 1 and 1, then you get 1. So as long as one is involved in one of the pairing, you always get 1 for all bitwise operator. And the last one is the XOR or the XOR bitwise operator. So when the bitwise XOR is performed on a pair of bits, it returns 1 if the bits are different. So actually, don't mind how I'm pronouncing this as XOR. So the correct thing is XOR. So it's like an opposite of OR. So look at it. When a bitwise XOR is performed on a pair of bits, it returns 1 if the bits are different. So which means that to get 1, the horn, as the illustration I gave with a light bulb, the two of the bits, one of it has to be the two of it has to be different. If they are not different, which means if they are of the same value, you will not get 1. Look at this now. Is 0 and 0, you get 0 because they are not different. Same thing. Is 0 and 1, you get 1. 1 and 0, you get 1. And then 1 and 1, you get 0. And you will take a note that this first one, the two bits are the same, and the last one, the two bits are the same. But in instances of where we have something that is different, you will see that we're able to get 1. So this is how the bitwise operations works in JavaScript, especially when you are doing something that is related to binary or low-level programming in JavaScript. Thank you, and in the next lesson, we'll continue. Thank you.